All right, let's do this. I'm Chronic Sailor, and we're going to talk about how to find liveaboard. Now, I've owned a boat for a little over 35 years. 37, but you have to subtract 2 years that I didn't own a boat. All that time was in California. And because I lived 2.5 hours from where I worked, I lived on my boat Monday through Friday, except for when my son got older, then I was home more often. But during that time, I looked for liveaboard. I was lucky. I knew the owner of the marina that I was in, and he allowed me to stay there. In fact, when I changed careers, I did a stunt show up until, God, I think I was 32, 30 maybe, 32. Anyway, I went to graduate school after that, and the owner of the marina actually allowed me to work there on Saturdays so I didn't lose my boat. So he was able to also let me live on my boat Monday through Friday without liveaboard. But during that time, I tried to get liveaboard, and I got on liveaboard wait lists. On the West Coast, liveaboard is not as plentiful as it is on that I have found being here in Florida. I haven't been here long, but we'll talk about Florida in a second. So in California, most marinas have a like a maybe a 2 to 5% liveaboard that they're allowed to have. So liveaboard is very hard to get, and you have to get on these very long wait lists. But I do suggest, if you are on the West Coast, actually getting on those wait lists. Now, in a lot of places, you have to pay to get on the wait list, the equivalent of 1 month. And I have paid quite a bit of money to be on wait list, lots of money, as a matter of fact. And oh my gosh, my name came available on actually a 35-foot liveaboard slip in Dana Point. But at that time, my kid had a lot going on, and there was no way I could swing paying for a 35-foot liveaboard. So anyway, I did lose out on that one, but that's okay. It was really expensive. Dana Point is very, very expensive, and now they've redone it. I haven't been there since they've redone it. But back to California. So there are wait lists, and I suggest getting on the wait list. And if you have to pay money, then just get on the wait list on places that you want to go. But here's what you have to do in California. You have to go back in, not just call, but calling's good too, but actually go in, show up. And this is really important. A lot of times they're going to want to know if you have the boat, or do you still have the boat? Bring a picture of your boat. Even if you're looking for it and you're between boats, bring a picture of the boat that you're going to buy and just say, yeah, got the boat, we're ready. That's super important. But letting them see your face, I can tell you, I've seen people jump wait lists just because they go in and check regularly and bring donuts every couple months, on a Saturday. I think that has I hate that about the industry, especially, in California now. It's getting even harder. But it just seems to be the nature of the beast. So go in person to the places that you want to go to and make phone calls. So let's talk about going north of California. And if you have questions more on California, I'm not thinking. There's a lot of stuff I'm not thinking about at the moment, but please ask. And I've spent enough time there, and I've been in marinas from Ventura to San Diego. So if you have any questions about any of the marinas, we can talk about that. All right, so Now talking about the West Coast, north of California. But first, just to wrap up on California, the thing to do there is find out where you want your boat. And if you're thinking about living on one in the future down the line, the time to act is now. And if you find the ones that you really want, get on every wait list you can. And the ones that you really want, go visit, dress nice, be happy. Every once in a while, bring them donuts maybe. I don't know, but it's important to show up in person. All right, so that is California. Like I said, my son moved up north to Oregon, and so I sold my boat, my Freedom 32, in Southern California, and I headed up, and I was going to buy a boat up in either Washington or Oregon. So, but I stopped and checked out some marinas north of there. I wanted to skip San Francisco. I wanted to get far, far, far north. So I did check a marina in Crescent City. It was the last marina before going into Oregon, leaving California and going into Oregon. At the time, which is 2026, it was probably 2022 back then. Gosh, I had a 32-foot Freedom sailboat, and I checked with them. There was no wait. I could have moved up there it would have been $400 a month. There was no wait. That would have been liveaboard. I think there was a little liveaboard fee. It wasn't much. It was it was nice. But anyway, I didn't get on the wait list, and I should have, and I didn't, and now I understand they're not allowing liveaboards at all there. Things change, don't cross it off your list. You want to call and ask them, because things do change, and I hope California gets more liveaboard friendly. So again, farther north, I first went to Portland area to look for a liveaboard slip. I found one marina that had a wait list, and I didn't get on the wait list, mainly because the only place to really go in a sailboat there is, out to sea, and I guess you can go down the Columbia River a little bit further, but unless you're in a power boat, you're kind of limited. So I thought, well, heck, I'm going to go up to Puget Sound. That's really where I want to live, and I could commute down to see my son in the Oregon area. But before I leave Oregon, the only other place I found on Columbia River that you could live aboard was, and I don't know the name of the marina, but I guess a portion of the marina or the whole marina, I'm not sure if it's a portion or the entire marina, is privately owned slips. No, yeah, so some slips are privately owned and some are not, because I remember talking to them and them saying that you can't live aboard one of their slips because they don't allow it, but if you own your slip, well, then you can live aboard. And again, that was someplace near Portland, Oregon, and I don't remember the name of it. And actually, I thought it was kind of quaint and cute. I would have been okay with it, but I didn't have the money for that at the time, and again, I thought I would find something up in Oregon. I mean, up in the Puget Sound area. But I had inquired a few places, and one place said, yeah, sure. Now, this was a while back. Before I had started my trip, I'd called, and they said, yeah, sure, come on up. But when I got to Washington, and I looked everywhere, Seattle, down into the Puget Sound, I can't say everywhere, but I went to so many marinas, and I was told the same thing everywhere. We don't have liveaboard, and what was that? I heard a couple different, I don't want to say excuses, but I heard a couple different things. The thing I heard the most, though, was they had passed some bill that they weren't allowing liveaboards anymore there. However, I do know people that live on that coast that live aboard there, and what they explained to me was, I guess there's some rental law. Hold on. I guess there's some rental law up in Washington, once you move in, it's very hard to get somebody to move out. So they're very particular about who they rent to. And a lot of marinas don't even say they have liveaboard for that reason, and they will just offer it to people. So again, there we go back to, you have to go in person, be dressed nice, be cordial, be happy. And still, even then, you might get somebody that doesn't care. It could be a waste of time, but focus in on the places you want to go. Go there in person. Go there more than once. Keep them updated. If you have the boat, and just stay in communication. Whatever excuse you can figure out to call and keep in communication with the places you want to move to, do that. I will tell you, there is one place in Washington I found that I had no problem getting liveaboard. I've had a few neck surgeries and back surgeries, and that's the reason I didn't do this, but sometimes I still think it would have been fun. In I don't know what you call that area, where Seattle is and all that stuff. In that, gosh, I wish I could think of what it's called. Anyway, there's a place called Port Roberts. It is, what it is where the United States ends and Canada starts. If you were to drive into Canada and go up around a little loop, there's a little piece of land that is United States. But to get there, you have to go through Canada up and around. So I just didn't want to drive in and out of the country anytime I wanted to, leave to come to the United States. But Port Roberts, if you really want liveaboard, you do have to deal with it's cold up there, keeping your tanks, from freezing and all that stuff. But that's a whole nother video, a whole nother subject. So again, to sum up the West Coast, in my experience, it's a lot more difficult and takes a lot more finessing and who and going back than it is on this coast. So long story short is, I actually, when I couldn't find a place in Washington, and okay, I remember what I was going to say. My mother lives here in Florida. I have a brother I have family that lives on the East Coast. So I came to the East Coast because I thought, well, you know what? Florida sounds great. I've never sailed there. Now, I did hear from quite a few people, and I did look into it. From what I understand, if you want to live aboard in comfort and not pay a lot of money, Texas is the place to go. I had heard that when I was living on my boat in Ventura, I had heard that, and there were a few liveaboards that actually considered moving there just because of the how economical it was. But I didn't go there. But when I did get here, I did call and make a few phone calls. And yes, I think it was $375 a month, and that was liveaboard. That was including the liveaboard fee for my 32-foot sailboat. And the place had a pool, floating docks, and was pretty new. I couldn't believe it. But I had already gotten here to Florida, so like I said, my mother lives here, and I was with her for a bit, and didn't end up going to Texas. But I'm not ruling Texas out. I'm not. In fact, it's actually on the list to go check out, because if what I saw online about the marinas that offered liveaboard, they were pretty nice and so economical. But on the East Coast, my experience has been Florida and a little bit in Georgia. That's where I bought my boat, is in Georgia. I didn't really check too many marinas up there for liveaboard. I did check I made some phone calls, and they said there was a wait list, but and I did call some places that said no, we don't do liveaboards at all. So, I think it's okay to call, but no matter what, if you know that you want to go there they do allow liveaboards, go there and introduce yourself. I think for me, like I said, I've had a boat, gosh, over 35 years. I've had so many different sailboats over 35 years. And most of my best memories are dockside. So I think where you have your boat and your neighbors is a big deal. And, for heaven's sakes, if you do own a boat, sleep on it on the weekends. Boy, I don't know. That's how I got hooked. I love it. And I like even the bad weather, especially when I'm tied to a dock. If I'm not tied to a dock, yeah, save the weather. All right, so let me tell you about my experience looking here in Florida. I'm in a legal liveaboard slip. In some of the marinas I checked, they said they don't allow liveaboard, but they can look the other way. I don't like to do that. The reason being is you can be kicked out at any time. Now, when I was a younger guy, maybe that didn't bother me so much, but I don't want to do that. And the other option is to be what they call a sneak aboard, where you get a boat and you go in and you just sneak and sleep on it, right? But the problem with that is you can't use that marina as a reference anymore. And you burn your bridges. And try to find legal liveaboard. And I think when you find legal liveaboard, it's worth doing what you can to keep it. But back to my finding in Florida, I looked for marinas, let's just say in about 100-mile radius. And let's say out of 10 marinas, 5 of them had liveaboard. They had a wait list. Some of them make you leave for 2 days and then come back. Like you can stay for 30, you have to leave for 2 days and come back. I guess you just go out and anchor and then come back. I've heard of those kind of things too. And often what happens is, you maybe do it the first month, but then it kind of goes away. But so just in general, and I'll tell you, gosh, in affordability, there's one marina that I looked at when I very first got here, and they didn't have liveaboard, but I did get on the wait list. It didn't cost me anything. In Florida, they don't charge you to get on the wait list here. Well, I haven't run into it yet. Anyway, this marina was gorgeous, and I got on the wait list. And I don't think it wasn't even a year, and they called me to move there. And the marina, it's a resort, guys. I mean, I'm just saying it is a resort as a resort can get. It's twice what I'm paying here. And the reason I did not take it and move there was a couple things. One, I have legal liveaboard, and my neighbors are fantastic. And it's very affordable where I live. But the biggest reason is it has some health stuff I have to deal with, and the hospital is not even 2 miles away. So that's why I'm here. That's why I'm kind of here for this period of time. But that's kind of been my experience on liveaboard on this coast. Like I said, I think the best bet that I have found and heard so far is Texas. Okay, and things you're going to want to ask when you're inquiring about liveaboard. Definitely, if you're a sailboat, find out what the draft is, especially on the East Coast. Florida, oh my gosh, you've got to ask, know what your draft is, and also ask if there's a liveaboard fee. A lot of marinas have, besides just your slip rent, they'll have a monthly liveaboard fee, and if there's more than one person, there'll be an extra fee, or if there's more than two persons, there's an extra fee. if you buy a catamaran, boy, you know, I love the idea of a catamaran, but seriously, where are you going to park it? That's the hard thing. I mean, your options to park a catamaran suck. End of sentence. That's the reason. Unless you've got a place to put it. But think about this. You really gotta get out of the way to find a place to park a catamaran. you, that's just the downside of a catamaran. I don't buy a catamaran. And on the East Coast, oh, I'll tell you something that's really awesome about the East Coast that the West Coast does not have. And this is really great. We have the East Coast has the Intercoastal Waterway and the Great Loop, and we'll talk about that. I want to do the Great Loop. It's it's a canal that goes it's a big circle that goes all the way up around the eastern Midwest to the East Coast. It's a big loop, and I really want to do it because I think it's a great way to see America. But if you're gonna do it on a sailboat, I think your best bet is to take your mast off. So once I'm healed from my injury, on my next sailboat, I think I'm going to start on the loop. I don't know. And then from there, who knows where. Listen, if you have any questions about liveaboard, there's so many things I'm sure I forgot to tell you, but go ahead and put the comments below. I will try to get at the questions sooner. Again, I apologize for the delay. I just had a little thing I had to take care of health-wise. So leave your questions in the comments. And coming up, we're going to talk about showers inboard. The best ones, I've gone through 3 of them. So anyway, stay tuned. We'll talk about showers next, and put your questions in the comment. Oh, and hey, will you do the like thing? And if you don't mind, subscribe. I promise I'll be better at answering your questions. But if you don't mind, if you could do those little things, that would be pretty cool. All right. Good evening, guys.